How are we doing, people? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me, and then we will begin. We have a relaxing chat here. I'm excited. What a weekend. What a joy it's been. We can. Right, let's bloody do this then. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. I hope you guys are doing wonderfully well. If you are doing wonderfully well and you want to spread some cheer, we're going for 150. I want 150k. Deep down, let's be honest. Reframe this. I want 200k. The dream is 200k. But let's calm down a minute. Let's opening day, isn't it? I'm getting swept up in it as well. If you're new to the channel, you want to subscribe, do it. Honestly, it's currently free. It's currently free at the moment, so you can do that for free. Get involved. Subscribe. Yeah, that's right. Daniel Hall, my guy. Wilderness kid. See? He knows. We want 1 million. Right, what we're going to do in this stream, what we're going to do is going to have a relaxed chat. I think I'm going to do this quite often because there are times when I feel like I may be kind of overproducing stuff, and sometimes we need to just have like a relaxed chat. And speaking about, so with that in mind, I think we can just go through some of the big talking points from the weekend. I asked you guys on Twitter what you wanted me to talk about, so we'll go through some of those bits and pieces and dive into them, and I'll just give my opinion. And here's the thing, this is what I want. I'm going to have to realign this because I need to be able to get to you. There we go. What we're going to do is I want you guys to give me some questions, because opening day, and this is the reason why I've said don't panic, is that is the main learning from today, is everyone take a minute. Everyone just take a sec. Honestly, don't worry about it. Because I think looking at all of these sort of initial opening day narratives, there's something a bit weird about quite a few of them. Now, a lot of you will probably kind of put me in my place and say, you don't know what it's like. But that's my opinion. It's my channel. And if you don't enjoy it, then you don't need this. But if you need a calm take, I think I'm here for you today. Let's have a look at the table, first of all, and then we'll dive into a few things. I think I want to talk about the Souness situation because I think it's interesting. Arteta. Well, there you go. Geordie's saying it's too late. Arteta out. That's one of the things I do want to talk about. Maybe Grealish a little bit. And yeah, we've got ourselves a super chat already. So if you do want to get a question in, then we can talk about it. We'll chat for about half an hour, and then you can go on and have a wonderful week. 500 people watching right now, so if you do fancy hitting the like button, it would massively help. Oliver says, great to be back, James. Will Brentford stay up? Okay, well, maybe we should go there first then. Well done, you. You've jumped the queue. Clever boy. Right, let's have a look at the table. Oof, it honestly couldn't be tighter. It really... Not a single draw, by the way. No, has anyone said that or spotted that? Not a single draw, which is great. Only in the bloody barnstorm in Barclays. Is it still the Barclays Premier League? I can't remember. Obviously, big wins. Man United, Chelsea looking very competent, and that's without Lukaku. Liverpool looking strong. Salah. I mean, here's an initial question. This is what will happen in these streams. It will be littered with questions as much as answers. Here's a question for you. Salah. We're going to start. We're getting to a point where we're going to have to discuss about him being one of... I need to make this smaller. This is too big. Him being one of the greatest of all time in the Premier League. Year after year after year, it's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. He's so good. He's banging in the goals, of course, on the opening day again. Let's go to it. Sorry. Oh, now my stream deck doesn't work. Well, that's really annoying, isn't it? Hang on. Hopefully we'll be all right in a sec. If it's not, then we're in deep trouble. We are in deep trouble. Damn. I'll do it this way. Yeah, him firing it up. And Norwich, though, I will say in the first half of that game, it was a lot closer than you would have thought. West Ham came back really strong. I thought Newcastle were going to kind of do them there, but they were just a little bit too good for them. Although Newcastle fans will be kind of somewhat encouraged, but there's a reason why I put them as my team to go down. And it's because if you lose Callum Wilson and St. Maximin, you're in massive trouble. It'd be interesting to see the average positions. And what I've got myself a new thing, so I'm going to try and get my average positions on the screen next time we do this. But Alan St. Maximin for Newcastle was so deep. It was so deep. It was really odd. And I just wonder if that's That feels like a mistake for me. Feels like a massive, massive mistake for me. Let's get into this. So where was that first question? I lost it. Oh no. Will Brentford stay up? Let's get to Brentford. So Brentford, I think, will stay up. I think they're going to be absolutely fine this year. And that's kind of... So hang on. Let me talk about Brentford first. Brentford are, and this isn't anything new for any of you guys, they're an incredibly well-run club. The problem is, and I think the problem with all of the opening day stuff, and that's why the title of this is Don't Panic, is that it's so absolute. You've either won the game or you've lost the game. So you're either terrible or you're brilliant. And the truth is the second week is a far more damning indictment of your possible season to come than the first, because there's so much stuff going on and the data set is literally 90 minutes. All that said, that Arsenal team going into it, let's see if I can get it going, and they're outside the relegation zone, so they should be delighted with that. That team going into that game it's not a great team at the moment, but at least it's a young team. I hope that makes sense when I say it. But Brentford, in name, are, to use a phrase that's going to annoy people, tin pot. They are, but they're not. Brentford will Brentford will take points off another one of those top six or big six, because they're not top six anymore. It's just a fact, right? So, hang on, let me get here. I've got all sorts of bits moving about here. Right. That team, if I was an Arsenal fan, okay, look, there's players that I want to be on the pitch, right? There's, you want Aubameyang on. Was Aubameyang on there? Yeah, you want Aubameyang on there. You want Lacazette on there because they bring that experience, right? But at least, Gabriel's going to come in at some point. Ben White had a stinker, let's be honest. He got bullied. Got absolutely bullied. Callum Chambers that's a concern, and you need to get yourself a right back. But there's a lot of hope in that team that you can be excited about, and at least you've got potential there. This team that you see here will go one of two ways, right? You'll either go, oh, look what Balogun became, look what Martinelli became, look what Pepe became, look what Smith Rowe became, and Smith Rowe played well in this game. Tierney, we know, is good. All right, the change is happening. The change is happening with Arsenal. So, for Arsenal fans, I would say just stay calm on this one, because, as I said in my predictions, and you can go check out my predictions, Brentford will stay up, and Brentford will take points from another big six team, or even just, let's say, top six. Let's talk about Leicester. They will take points off those teams. The problem is that the narrative is so ingrained, and it's so hyperbolic, and it's so reactive, that we're at a position now where after one game, and it's a promoted team, but it's a promoted team at home after 18 months where the fans haven't been able to be there, with a squad that has been improved. They haven't lost players, so they've retained the same amount of chemistry against a team that doesn't really have that same chemistry. I know it's Arsenal, and I know it's Brentford, but honestly, take a second. Honestly, take a breath. Arsenal, and also, so there's the thing with Arteta, and I'm not going to apologise for managers on and on and on, but it's one game. So if we get to November, this is a huge season for Arteta, right? What you need to see verve, you need to see a well-coached team, you need to see a few really exciting goals being scored for Arsenal by November. I mean, before then, to be honest. Because Arteta's got a week. Every time there's a game, he's got a week, pretty much, right? Because there's no European football. So he's got to get it right. He could be one of the first to go. Because as much as they like him, and he's clearly, diligent, is he going to... The bottom line is, can he get a reaction from this team, right? So he has to do better. They have to do better. There are players still to come in. There is still a transfer window and time to bring in players. Partey's not in that team. I mean, just take a breath. Honestly, take a breath. Some of the reaction was just it was cringe. I got to be honest. It's just too quick. It's just too quick. Brentford will surprise a lot of teams. Let's have it right. I don't want to miss any super chats, so let me scroll down. Okay. Super chat numero dos. If you were expecting Spanish, you're welcome. If you weren't, you're welcome. Ryan Curley. Haven't got a question. All right. Haven't got a question. Just here to say, I'm now a moisty, as I recently got a job. Yes. Also top of the league in my FPL group. What could go wrong? Mate, you're a king. You are a king. Get out there and dominate this week, okay? I see you. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it, bro. George Rogers. Afternoon, Jim. My question, how much should we read into the Spurs versus City result? Do you think it suggests anything big for either of their seasons? Now, I've made it very clear how I feel about opening day. The second weekend is much bigger, right? And if we look at the games for the Premier League next week, which I think we can do, hopefully I can show you, that's when you can start to believe in something, right? So this is the first week, so let's have a look at next week. Right, this should be everyone, hopefully. Wolves Spurs, that's a really good test for them. Because if I focus on the game first, let me talk to you about the game first. So Man City looked knackered, let's be honest. And there is the chance that you always have against Man City is if you can soak up pressure, get away with it a little bit, and on the counter-attack, have the quality to get yourself a goal. Because what will happen is, if you look at a snapshot of every time the ball is in Spurs' half, generally, from an attack, I bet there were 4 or 5 players, Spurs players, in the penalty box. For Man City, if you look at the attacks from them, I bet they were backpedaling, and there was probably 3 of them. 2 centre-backs and 1 more. Because Fernandinho was kind of getting done quite a lot. He looked incredibly leggy, I've got to say. Especially if you go back and watch the goal. And it is a quick moment and transition from Lucas Moura, who I thought had a really, really good game. But, he gets done, and then, bless him, he just hasn't got the pace to recover anymore. So he's one of those. That's why he sits deep, so that everything's in front of him, and it's about reading it instead of having to make those recovery runs. That's why he's the brilliant player that he is. But when you've got a situation like that, where, okay, you're not going to have as much of the ball, but when you do, you've got all this space to work with. If you can take your chance and frustrate the opposition, you got a chance. You do have a chance. So I've got to be honest, I don't think it means anything. I don't think it means anything for Man City. I don't think it means anything at all. And also, there was a lot of talk about Grealish and Sterling. I saw a tweet about their average positions. And their average positions will be similar. If you look at the average, I haven't got it with me now, but if you look at the average positions from that game, Grealish and Sterling are quite close to each other. That will take time for them to kind of work with each other. And what will be good about it as well is that Zinchenko, when he comes back, you've basically got your overlap ready to go with Sterling and Grealish. What's weird is that normally you have David Silva or Gundogan in that channel. What you're going to have is you're going to have Grealish and Sterling kind of to the side a little bit. But what's really scary, if you don't play out your skin like Tanganga did, is that someone's getting isolated quickly. It's not like you're waiting for a fullback to do the overlap. You've got 2 players there ready to go. So in time, those 2 could be very devastating, especially when you've got both players who can cut in and go inside or play it to the other guy. And also it's going to allow Raheem Sterling to get into the centre of the pitch like we saw England against Germany. So for Man City, I don't think it means that much. What I would say is that pressure is real. And what was so new and fresh last year about Gundogan getting on, Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne being those kind of forwards, but really they were midfielders because they were trying to suck people out because everyone defends so deep. Everyone knows that now, and people will have plans in place to look to stop that. And so that's why they probably do need a striker, just so that they can find a route, And it's interesting, I guess, in terms of it being big for either season, it might be one where it might incentivize Man City to go, yeah, go on then, 160, there you go, which might mean Kane's on his way. I mean, that's interesting as well. I don't know what people's thoughts are on the Kane situation. For Spurs, it is actually quite a big result for them because what it does is they get to go into their next game and Nuno goes, look, boys, we can win games on our own. Let's go and prove it again. And they've got another nice little narrative there with the Wolves game. And I think I think the players there are going to absolutely love Nuno. I think they're going to absolutely love him. I think I would. I'd love to play for Nuno Espirito Santo because he's just got a lovely way about him. So it could be big for Spurs just because the expectations are so low for Spurs. But you've got confidence is huge, isn't it? So someone like Lucas Moura's got that little bit more confidence. Son's off the mark. You've had a clean sheet at the back there. What will be interesting is that the game will be very different. When I'm talking about all that space that Spurs had going forward, they won't have it in this next game against Wolves. So now it's a new test. You know, can you break down the opposition? Maybe it's one where Dele Alli looks to have a much bigger impact on the game than he did in this one. Let's keep on going. Josh UFO. Brentford will be like Sheffield United's first season. I don't think it'll be that good. But do you know what I think of? Do you remember Fulham when they had like Damien Duff and Zamora and Andy Johnson and all those players? I feel like it's like a light version of that maybe, where you better be at it. Because Brentford, especially in that first season when that adrenaline is running, and I did a video on this, by the way, actually. So I did a video on Leeds and second season syndrome, and it kind of touches on all of these things. And we talk about, I chat to a sports psychologist about exactly that feeling going into the second season. And so within that conversation, we talk about that first season. And Dan Abraham says some really, really interesting stuff on it. So yeah, go check it out on my channel if you get a second. I think they'll have I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine, which is a great season for them, isn't it? Yeah. Max Simmons, I've lost you. There you are. Cracks at Man City. I mean, this is what I mean. Second game's the one that matters, really, because now you start, after the second game, you start to go, oh, hang on a minute, something's not right here. There's being undercooked. And what could happen, and I guess this is the tough one for both of these guys, it's Man City Arsenal. Is that the first game that these two are playing? Am I getting that wrong? I feel like they've got Chelsea next. Am I right? Yeah, Man City Norwich next. See, there you go. That's a game that they should be winning, especially at home. They will get opportunities to break them down. I know Norwich have beaten them in the past, but especially at Man City, fans back, I think that's going to be difficult for them for sure. Yeah, I thought Grealish had a few moments. What will be interesting to see is I think he's going to have to learn to play that little bit quicker, because there could be a possibility where he might slow the team down a little bit. But it'll be interesting to see the amount of goals that come from set pieces, that come from Grealish winning a free kick and De Bruyne taking it, and then you've got Diaz and Stones. I think that could be, if they really invest in those set pieces, that could be really, really, really strong for them. Really, really strong for them. AMGT7 has just given a lovely super chat, so thank you very much for that, my friend. What other questions we got? What other teams can we talk about? I thought West Ham were really good, actually, in the second half. That first half versus the second half. Maybe we can look at the stats on that. That might be an interesting one to have a little look at. Because the second half, they've I felt like they really came into their own. Although both halves were pretty hectic, pretty mad, really. I don't think you would expect something like that, really. You can see the stats here. First half, 56% possession. Second half, a little bit tighter, actually. They had a little moment, Newcastle. There was a strange thing going on with St. Maximin. There was a really strange thing going on with St. Maximin, because he was just super deep. I don't know if maybe we can see it. Like there, it says that he's up top. He wasn't up top. You can see here from his heat map here. Hopefully I can show you a bit better here. So there you go. Look at the amount of touches he had from all over the pitch. Now, if you're shooting this way, what you can see here is, really, the problem here is you want him to have so many more touches everywhere else. And if you think of him losing the ball and them losing a goal, where he's lost the ball there is such a dangerous area. So this area here, I don't think you can see it on your screen, but basically in the middle where the centre circle is, that's where he lost the ball for one of the goals. Might have been the last one. And when I was watching the game, there was a moment where he nearly lost it before, and I remember thinking, "What are you doing, dribbling there?" But of course, it's Alan St. Maximin, so you expect him to dribble. And look, 10 successful dribble attempts from 12. But that's the perfect stat, really, isn't it? Because I guess you take the good with the bad with him, and he's not always going to be successful with it. But if there's only 2 of your 12 dribbles that haven't worked out and you've conceded a goal from them, the problem is where you're taking those dribbles. You know, what I would have liked to have seen with Steve Bruce, and maybe you'll get this with Joe Willock, is the fact that, you know, work the ball up the pitch, which they were trying to do more so with Matt Ritchie, actually. Move me out of the way. So what they were trying to do, Murphy and Matt Ritchie, 2 kind of used to be wingers, right? Both those guys were playing a lot higher up the pitch, and then they were trying to get the ball to Alan Saint-Maximin, I guess in more central areas or a bit of an underlap from him. But there was a lot of times where he was picking up the ball in this middle area here, and I just think it just feels incredibly dangerous and also a little bit pointless from him, because you want him to have the ball, you know, in these areas here. He should be on the ball a lot more in these areas, because then when he beats a man, he's in the penalty box. So that's something they've got to work on, I think, because it's all good and well, but it's irrelevant. These are irrelevant dribbles for me, because you won't have other players up the pitch anyway. He's one of the few players that they have up the pitch, supposedly. So that's a problem. Watford, what did I say? I think... Now, with Watford, this is one of those where I'm going against my gut. So if you ever look at my predictions, you'll have seen I've put them 13th. Now, I could get this totally wrong, and I might get it wrong. But in terms of the elements of having someone like Ismail Assar and then being able to counter-attack the way that they did in that game, and then having a solid defence. Now, I know they conceded a couple of goals. One of them was a horrific penalty. But going back on last season, they're going into this season with a confident defence. And I think those 2 things, both promoted teams, I think will surprise a lot of people. A lot of people asking about Souness. I do want to talk about Souness because so I was Souness's runner years ago. I've probably told you this a million times, guys. And by the way, we nearly got 2,000 people watching right now. So if you could be very kind, if you are enjoying it and you want me to do this again, because I could do this most Mondays and we can just have a little chat around lunchtime. It might be nice. If you do want me to do it, then do hit the like button, because it will prove to me that you are really keen on it. So please do consider doing that for me, and of course subscribe to the channel. Let's talk about Souness. Souness is a good guy. Let me just say that first, okay? He is a very good guy. But I think he's got himself into a corner here that feels... it feels like he's going to get to a position where I think deep down he just doesn't like that kind of player. I think he's thinking, as a manager, I don't like that, what I've seen from Pogba over the last couple of years. Now, there's a lot of tension with this kind of comparison that's being made between Kane and Pogba, because of, obviously, you know, we're living in a world where we're talking about race a lot at the moment. And I think that is, of course, a wonderful, wonderful thing, because it all moves us forward. And it means that when I've got to talk to you, 2,000 people, I've got to really think about what I'm saying here. And that in itself is brilliant. You know, like most things in life, you've got to slow down and think, is what I'm saying fair? Right? Now, let's look at these 2 things in isolation. You've got the Harry Kane situation, which they're now kind of putting him up against Paul Pogba. And then there is this elephant in the room, of course, that, you know, people being racist towards Pogba in terms of the media coverage. Now, I think that in its own box, absolutely, clearly, right? In terms of like the guy dancing, who cares if he's dancing? Come on. And Souness's comments on that, I that's something that I think you should go away and think about. Is there a subconscious bias that you're getting annoyed about someone dancing? That's not for me to answer, right? But what I would say is that, having thought about that and thought about my own subconscious bias, and if there is one in this argument, I'm very wary of putting these 2 against each other, because I think you've got to say that Harry Kane has generally been incredibly professional with his career, right? So let that be true. With Paul Pogba, his agent has let him down numerous times. And with that, you wonder, you go, Paul, why aren't you telling your agent to shut up? Like that's my gripe with that, right? And so I think comparing the two of them, I think there are differences there. But Souness is in this weird predicament now where he's kind of doubled down and doubled down and doubled down on the fact that he just doesn't really like him without saying, I just don't really like him. And now he's in a situation where he's getting a bit annoyed about it. You know, when Micah Richards is bringing stuff up, he's going, oh, here we go. Because he knows what the backlash is, because it's got that far. Because you know, not only, you know, people on Twitter, Man United fans or fans of other clubs have gone for this. This is also something that's been clipped up by Sky themselves and used. So, you know, these are biases and narratives that are being projected out there, right? So my thought on it is that I don't really like the comparing of the two. I think you need to kind of focus on them in isolation. Has Paul Pogba been fairly treated by the press? Absolutely not. Is Graham Souness cutting his nose off a little bit, in my opinion? When someone like Paul Pogba's got 4 assists in a game, you have to enjoy that moment and laud Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba is in incredible form right now. He was one of my favourite players. Go back and watch it. He was one of my favourite players in the Euros. He's at the peak of his powers right now. And I think we're going to miss the point of why we like football, which is enjoying incredible performances from players, by focusing on something else, something that's a lot more ugly, and one where if you want to find moral high ground on either of them and attack them for it, then you can. But I think the important thing here is that you don't know what's going on with Kane at all. And with Pogba, I think you don't know the reason why he has chosen to not put Mino Raiola in his place at times. You don't know. We don't know. But, you know, I like Souness. And I think it's one of those where I think he felt like it was a safe road to go down. And now he's probably been a little bit stubborn in accepting that, okay, he's maybe proved me wrong a little bit. And I think he just needs to let that bit go. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Jamie Sheehy. Hi, James. Do you think people are sleeping on Liverpool with all the other title contenders spending big money? Love the channel, mate. Do you know what? I was thinking about this the other day. So this is the problem that Liverpool have, for me, is variables. Because so Liverpool fans getting not annoyed, but they're kind of going, why aren't you saying that we can win the title? What you're probably maybe like bypassing a little bit is the fact that the way I look at it, my main focus with my predictions was depth. And although there is an element of depth in centre-back positions now, midfield to a point, although that midfield that played against Norwich was okay in comparison to the other top 4 sides. My problem is that, you know, the variables that come up during a season. And you would imagine that there might be some problems in the attacking third, or there might be injuries in the attacking third. And if they do happen, whereas Man City, you go, okay, Mahrez is out, Grealish is out, De Bruyne is out. Wow, that's 3 huge players. You can go Sterling, Foden, and Gundogan. For Liverpool, essentially, they don't have a central striker. Now, Man City, you can say a similar thing, but they've got Gabriel Jesus, another one there. But Liverpool are incredibly reliant on those players. Now, that could work out, and of course they can win the title. And I think you've got to be aware of like the energy of teams as well. And what the problem Man City have got at the moment is that it's such a cup final for every team. And they are there to be shot at because they're champions of the division. They've got depth that's outrageous. Liverpool can play with probably a touch more freedom because they haven't got that on them at that moment. Whereas last year, I think it really hurt them alongside the injuries. The thing that's got me putting them down there is that is Henderson going to get injured? Are these people going to get injured? And when that happens, that makes it less. You can be less certain of a team winning game after game after game after game. That might not happen. So of course they're in the title race. Of course there's a title race. But I just think, and again, they don't have as many, and it's up top, right? Because if Salah comes out of that team, you're in massive trouble. Whereas if you take De Bruyne out of the Man City team, they go on a better run. That's all I'm saying. But I'd really love to see Liverpool have a go at it. I think they've got a chance, and I think you can see that there's 4 teams that have got a real opportunity. Because, like I say, I think the energy of Liverpool is in a much better place. They have better depth in centre-back positions, which we now know is so important to them going forward. And they have outrageous quality. I will say, in that first half of that game against Norwich looked pretty good. And the first goal is incredibly lucky. Salah has a bad touch, and it falls to Jota. Great finish, right? But luck happens in football as well. So that's what I mean. It's about variables. Are they variable proof? Not as variable proof as Chelsea are, or Man United are, or Man City, of course, are. That's all I'm saying. Right, guys. I think I've spoken about everything. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, do consider subscribing to the channel. I'm thinking about doing it each Monday. So if you want me to do that, then please do let me know in the comments below. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Do you enjoy it? I did. And if we are going to do this every week, what would you like to see? Like, would you like, someone's just saying a team of the week, other certain players or whatever. Let me know. If you do want to ask questions that set the narrative for this, make sure you follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. Links are in the description. Thanks for watching, guys. Lots of love. Speak soon.